Over the last probably six to 10 years, there's been fundamental change happening in transport. It's not just transport, it's been happening in health and education. It's been driven by two things. It's been driven by the market demand for personalised services from people, which is in turn driven by complexity of lifestyle. And value. People want value, and they want value in terms of their lifestyle. And that's moved transport from basically a traditional operational model where if you want the bus, you've got to turn up when the bus turns up, to I want a service that I want, door to door. So the mode stuff goes out. So what people want are a seamless service, a valued service, and a customer-focused service. So that takes transport away from an operational model to a service model, a retail model. That in turn has brought in non-transport people who do that. And technically they're called aggregators. So Airbnb, Skyscanner are aggregators. So they don't do bed and breakfast, they don't do airlines, but they are between the customer and they join it all together for you. So in the future, the view is that these aggregators will present each one of us with a mobility package like your mobile phone each month. Now that's interesting because it's building the market from the bottom up, not the top down. So, whereas before we've had a strategic plan and then you convince people to walk or cycle or take public transport more. Now, because they're learning about me like any retailer, they know what I like, what I don't like, and they can tailor incentives and loyalty programs to nudge my behavior. That could go both ways or all ways. It will be used for commercial purposes to sell me value-added services, but it could be also used to enable me to walk, to incentivize me to walk more, cycle more, park there rather than there, to shop in these shops. The big issue is this is being driven by big global private companies at the minute. Are they going to take up social issues, social targets, environmental targets, equity, low income? Maybe. So the challenge is that how do you combine that with the government's long-term strategy and planning, and how do you combine the two? And looking around the world, people are talking about this, but nobody's actually done it. They don't know how to do it, and that's going to be the major challenge, bringing the two together. I mean, I think Scotland's ideally placed because in this whole area, which is, as I say, it's called mobility as a service. It's called that across the world. There is an opportunity to use that system to incentivize people to buy or use low-energy vehicles. I mean, there's a big move away from ownership, especially with younger people, to sharing, the shared economy. A lot of younger people don't have a driving license. They don't see the need for that. So there's a social change going on that can be used to help deliver environmental and social benefits as well, from a value point of view, an incentive point of view, rather than sort of coercing me to do this. It makes sense for me to do that. Now, to be able to do that and to provide a full mobility as a service system that covers all of these things, you need to understand energy, you need to understand IT, ICT and data diagnostics, and you need to understand transport. Scotland is world-class in all of these three. It's the right size, 5 million population. It's got 7 cities that are different sizes, different characteristics. It's got rural areas and it's got deep rural areas in the islands. So, in my view, Scotland could be putting itself forward as a place to come and test, de-risk all of these products, learn how to do it, use Scottish companies to do it. And the government needs to be in their refresh of their transport strategy next year, they need to be building all of this into that, working with industry and with universities and other NGO bodies as well, like ECCI here, to actually profile Scotland as the place that understands this, understands the threats, but also the opportunities, and provides people around the world the facility to come and see actually how to do it. That in turn opens up the market for our universities and companies to go ahead and go across the world and sell the same processes. So the government are supportive. They've got very ambitious targets. We just need to make sure that that's plugged in, which it isn't at the minute because it's all very new. But as they refresh the transport strategy, that all of this is plugged in. They understand that. They're set up for that, and they get a partnership going, as I say, with NGOs, with industry, with the funding bodies, and with the universities to actually deliver this in the future. There's a great opportunity. I think it's been great. We had a really good session, and there was a number of things that came out of that. We talked about all of this stuff, and the kind of, I'll need to write these things down and get my head around them. But basically, they were saying the government needs to adopt mobility as a service. They need to understand it. They need to, because this crosses about 4 departments, they need some kind of task force to do that. There needs to be some kind of investment fund to kickstart some demo projects across Scotland, testing in rural areas, testing in low-income areas, testing in high-income areas, and testing, making sure the system includes the social benefits, the environmental benefits, and the economic benefits at the same time, and building, helping companies do that as well. So that's, we talked about long-term funding, we talked about a whole series of other areas that needs to be built into that, like electric vehicles and charging points that fit into government as well. But we have to get real. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of chatter. There's a real opportunity to actually start doing it with demo projects at scale, if you like, bite size across Scotland. And I think that's the next stage.